Have you ever noticed a person who sits there quietly, almost invisible, yet you feel exposed anyway? Like they are not staring, but somehow they are seeing. They catch the tiny tremor in your voice. They catch the second you hesitate. They catch the moment you become someone else. And here's what messes with your head. They do not say it. They let you talk. They let you convince yourself. Then later, with one sentence, they prove they were present the whole time. So why do some people notice everything but say little? Here's the psychology behind it. 1. They learn that information is safety. Some people did not grow up in a place where emotions were simple. Maybe moods changed fast. Maybe love felt conditional. Maybe the safest person in the room could become the loudest threat in 1 minute. So they adapted. They became watchers. They read tone, posture, timing, and silence like a survival skill. This is hypervigilance dressed up as calm. The brain learns pattern detection when the environment feels unpredictable. It scans for microsigns because it wants to prevent pain before it arrives. And when you live like that for years, noticing becomes automatic. Noticing becomes your default setting. They notice how someone shuts a door. They notice how a compliment lands like a warning. They notice when laughter is used to cover tension. Their nervous system is basically running a live report, but saying what they notice can feel dangerous. Because in their history, naming the truth did not always lead to comfort. Sometimes it led to conflict. Sometimes it led to punishment. Sometimes it led to being called dramatic, so they keep it inside. They store the data. They stay one step ahead. Quiet becomes control. 2. They carry high emotional intelligence, but low trust. These people often read emotions well. They can tell when someone is insecure behind confidence. They can tell when a friend is asking for advice but really wants reassurance. They can tell when a joke is actually a test. That is emotional intelligence. But emotional intelligence does not automatically mean emotional openness. In fact, sometimes it creates the opposite. Because when you understand people deeply, you also see how easily people can twist things. You notice selective memory. You notice rationalization. You notice denial dressed up as logic. You notice how someone can apologize with words while their body stays defensive. So you become careful. You pick your moments. You do not expose your full perception to everyone. You might even act a little slower than you think, on purpose, because you know the cost of being right around the wrong person. Psychology calls this calibration. You are matching your honesty to the level of safety you feel. And for them, safety is earned, not assumed. You can see it in relationships. They notice red flags early, but they do not announce them. They simply step back. They become quieter. They watch if the pattern repeats. Because trust, to them, is not a feeling. It is a track record. 3. They prefer influence over attention. Some people talk less because they do not want the spotlight, not because they are shy, but because they understand social dynamics. When you talk a lot, you reveal your strategy, your biases, your needs, your buttons, your insecurities. But when you listen, you gather context. You learn what matters to others. You learn who needs approval, who needs control, who needs to look smart. And once you see that, you can move through the room with precision. This connects to a simple cognitive bias. The spotlight effect makes us think everyone is watching us. Quiet observers do not fall for it as much. They are watching everyone else. And because they are not performing, they are free to notice. They also understand impression management. People show a version of themselves. The more someone performs, the more predictable they become. Quiet people notice the performance, then watch for what leaks through. A clenched jaw, a forced laugh, a sudden change of topic, the way someone interrupts right when a certain name is mentioned. That is the real story. And they keep it to themselves because they do not need applause for seeing it. They need clarity. They want leverage in the healthiest sense, the leverage of understanding. 4. They have a rich inner world, and they guard it. Some quiet observers are not numb. They are not empty. They are full of thoughts, images, memories, and meaning. They might be introverted, But introversion is not just liking solitude. It is a nervous system preference. Too much stimulation can feel like noise in the mind, so they reduce output. They speak only when something feels accurate, useful, or real. They also tend to be high in trait openness. They notice patterns, they connect dots, they see symbolism in small moments. So even a simple conversation can trigger 10 parallel thoughts. They can watch two friends disagree and instantly see childhood wounds, ego defenses, and fear of rejection playing chess in real time. They can watch someone brag and hear the insecurity underneath. They can watch someone stay quiet and sense shame. But saying all of that can feel impossible, because language is slow compared to perception. And because when you share a delicate thought with the wrong person, it can be dismissed. So they protect it, not out of arrogance, out of respect for their inner world. Sometimes they speak less because they are trying to avoid being misunderstood. Being misunderstood feels worse than being unseen. And if they have been mocked before for being deep, for being sensitive, for being intense, they learn to keep the depth private. They become fluent in silence. They let their eyes do the talking. 5. They are conflict aware and they choose peace strategically. Here is something most people miss. Not everyone who stays quiet is afraid. Some are simply conflict literate. They know how fragile social situations are. They know how fast a truth can become an insult. They know how feedback can turn into a power struggle. So they practice restraint. This can come from past experiences. Maybe they learned that arguing with certain people is pointless. Maybe they watched adults fight and decided, never again. Maybe they tried to speak up once, and they were punished for it. Maybe they were told, you talk too much, when they were just trying to explain themselves. Over time, they develop a skill called emotional regulation. They can feel the urge to speak and still pause. They can feel anger and still choose timing. They can sense drama forming and step back before it spreads. And yes, sometimes this becomes people-pleasing. Sometimes it becomes silence that swallows needs. Sometimes it becomes resentment that never gets air. But in healthier cases, it is wisdom. It is knowing that not every observation needs a speech. Not every truth needs a stage. Not every moment needs your energy. So what does it feel like to be this person? It can feel like living with a constant subtitles track in your head. You notice the hidden meanings. You notice inconsistencies. You notice energy shifts. And you carry all of it alone. You might look calm on the outside, but inside you are running analysis. You might seem distant, but you are actually present, just quietly. You might seem uninterested, but you are collecting the whole picture. And if you are around people who talk loudly, you can feel invisible, because loudness often gets rewarded. But noticing is a form of power too. A quiet power. Now, a gentle warning. If you notice everything and say little, ask yourself one question. Is this your personality, or is this your protection? If it is personality, honor it. You do not need to become loud to be valuable. Your awareness is a gift. Use it to choose better friends, better partners, better spaces. Use it to walk away from manipulation early. Use it to build a life that feels calm, not chaotic. But if it is protection, you deserve healing. Because living in constant scanning mode is exhausting. Your nervous system deserves rest. You deserve relationships where you can say, I noticed that hurt me, and it is safe to be heard. Here is a small practice. The next time you notice something important, say one sentence, not a lecture, not a confrontation. One clear sentence. I felt that change in your tone. I noticed I got quiet just now. I am not sure what that meant, but it mattered. That is how you slowly train trust. That is how you turn observation into connection. That is how you stop living only in your head and start living in your life. And if you are listening to this thinking, wow, this is me, let me tell you something. Your silence is not emptiness. It is often depth. It is often experience. It is often intelligence that learned to stay soft. So here is the takeaway. People who notice everything but say little are often protecting themselves, protecting their peace, or protecting what is sacred inside them. They are readers of the room. They are collectors of truth. And when they finally speak, it usually means it matters. If this hit home, stay close. Subscribe for more psychology that feels like someone finally put words to what you have lived. And if you know someone like this, share it with them. Sometimes the quiet ones just want to be understood.